Are the owners putting money in, and how's that happen? So usually in the non-healthcare world, and we have two folks show up, usually one person has the idea and going to do the sweat equity, and the other person is going to put the money in. How does it work in your case? Are you both putting money in? You're putting equipment in? How are we going to evaluate? One office comes in, it's fully furnished, and the other practice isn't. How are we going to value that? If there's a shortfall, are we going to require the owners to pony up or not? And that's a big deal too. If they pony up, some of you do, some of you don't, are there going to be loans made to the business, and how are we going to treat those loans? Are they going to have a relatively high interest rate, which would encourage the business to go out and replace those owner loans by something else? Who manages? That's a big deal. So typically in corporate governance 101 in law school, there's no such class, but kind of. Your board of directors is usually an odd number. And the reason it's an odd number is so you don't get deadlock, right? So if you have 9 members and you bring something to the board, you're not going to deadlock. You got 9. You're going to vote 5-4, 6-3, whatever. Sometimes in mergers, you create an even-numbered board, which is crazy, but you do. So in the earlier discussion where you had 11 and 8, I think, or 11 and 7, you might say the 11 doctors can, or the 11 providers can appoint 3 members, and the 7 providers can appoint 3 members, because we're a merger of equals. And those 3 board members, they actually run the business. They implement policy. Yes, sir?
Does it matter what the size of the board is for the particular entity?
It depends. So in smaller entities, we usually have all the owners on the board. Okay, so everybody feels like they're making decisions, strategic decisions. They give guidance to the person who's managing day to day. In the small business setting that I deal in, if you get above 7, it's tough. It's tough to get people together. And it just depends on the size of the entity. If we had a provider practice that had 8 or 9, I'd put everybody on the board if they wanted to be. Sometimes people say, that was the reason I did this, right? I want more time away from this kind of stuff. But that's a good question. If you have 20, it's just hard to get. But we we're involved in a practice that had everybody. It was a combination of different practices, and by the time they finished combining, they had 150. And they had told people, you're gonna be a board member, because the board member runs it, right? And it's unwieldy. Under North Carolina law, boards can unanimously act without a meeting. So once you start getting a bigger number, it's hard to get unanimity. It's hard to get a unanimous consensus on something, which I think is a bad thing, but in certain circumstances, it might be a good thing. You might want everybody to be on the same page.